U.S.-China cooperation is not a zero-sum game. Governor of the U.S. state of California, Gavin Newsom, said this during his ongoing week-long trip to China. On Wednesday, he was received by Chinese President Xi Jinping, who recalled his first ever stop in the U.S., and you're looking at the picture, in the state of California, San Francisco, 38 years ago. Meanwhile, China's top diplomat Wang Yi is on a 3-day visit to the United States at the invitation of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. These visits are seen as signals of potential thaws in relations, which have sunk to historical lows in recent years. And these visits come ahead of a highly anticipated summit of Asia-Pacific leaders to be held in San Francisco in November. So what are the messages that have been sent? What could a working relationship between the world's two largest economies and players mean for other regions in the world? I'm pleased to be joined from Hong Kong by Lyu Xiang, Research Fellow at Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, and from Philadelphia, U.S. by Neysun Mahboubi, Director of the Penn Project on the Future of U.S.-China Relations at the University of Pennsylvania. Gentlemen, welcome to The Point. So I want to recall some numbers that have been highlighted by Chinese President Xi Jinping during his meeting with visiting Governor Newsom. President Xi Jinping mentioned, of course, his first ever stop in the United States, that picture we saw at the beginning of the show in front of the Golden Gate Bridge, which I will be going hopefully. And he recalled 4 numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5. In his meeting with Governor Newsom. He said, and I explain, China and the United States are the world's 2 largest economies. Together, they account for more than 1/3 of the global economy and nearly 1/4 of the world's population. And bilateral trade accounts to about 1/5 of the global total. So, Mr. Lyu, how much does he want to say about the importance China attaches to relations with the United States?
Oh, well, what President Xi told Governor Newsom is that the U.S. and China are both countries are the largest 2 economies in the world. And we know that the country in the 3rd place is far behind. We have never seen this situation, this kind of economic ranking in the world history. So today, President Xi points to the fact that the 2 countries are the cooperation, economic cooperation between our 2 countries are not only beneficial to our 2 countries, but also to the world. So negatively speaking, if we don't cooperate, we have a negative impact, a big negative impact on the world economy. And if we work together, we can contribute a lot to the world economy.
Well, it seems that this message is being reciprocated by the United States through this trip. And Neysun, how do you see it? It's a high-profile U.S. politician, a prominent figure in the Democratic Party, the governor of the largest economy in the United States, and he's sending us some very positive messages. And his trip he's been in China alone is already a big thing.
Yeah, you know, I think there's a lot about...
Yeah, Neysun, please.
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot with respect to Governor Newsom's visit that is specific to California. And, for example, the ways in which the climate crisis particularly impact and are acknowledged in the politics of California have something to do with the trip. I think in general, in the last few years where there's been so much tension between the U.S. and China at sort of the national government to government level, there's always been some interest in what the dynamics were at the subnational level. And I think that California is not the only state that is potentially looking at China through a different lens than we see to be predominant in Washington. All of that said, I still tend to think of this trip within the parameters of these other visits by U.S. federal government officials over the course of the past few months which altogether reflect that the Biden administration has been trying very hard to stabilize relations with China, to take advantage of this particular window of time where there are not any new intervening factors which would make the relationship more tense, to try to introduce some stability. And I think that the Chinese side has tended to reciprocate, both in terms of the warm
Why do you think the
reception.
United States is motivated to stabilize the relationship now? Neysun.
You know, I think probably because there are adults in the room, and adults would recognize that having these two large economies be in a state of ongoing hostility all the time is not particularly smart. And so just from that standpoint, it makes sense to try to stabilize relations to the extent that's possible. That's not to say that we're going to resolve all of the issues that we have seen in recent years confront the two countries, but perhaps this particular moment is one in which we can at least put a floor on the negative spiral that has dominated all of our attention for the past few years.
Yeah, Mr. Lyu, what is your observation? Because we see on the Chinese side, the reaction or the attitude towards the United States has been rather consistent, is reactive, and it has always sent the message that China wants to have a stable relationship with the United States. Rather, the United States government, from Trump to Biden, and in the beginning, a couple of years till now, we are seeing quite some changes. Why there are all of a sudden adults in the room, Mr. Lyu, if you agree?
Yeah, you know that China's position, China's policy towards the United States is consistent and persistent. We have never changed our attitude towards the relation, towards a stable and constructive relation with the United States, because we know that the relation, in essence, is complementary, is constructive is mutually constructive to both countries. So it's inevitable that China will continue to build a stable and constructive relationship with the United States,
moment,
especially in the economic front.
Yeah, especially economic front. Well, at this moment, China's top diplomat, Mr. Wang Yi, is visiting the United States, which came as some kind of, a surprise visit in very short notice, and people are speculating about what this means for the next few weeks. Mr. Lyu, what is your interpretation of what's going to happen? What is happening?
Okay, there is very deep-rooted implications, because since June, we have seen a lot of U.S. officials coming to China.
Right.
And now it's Mr. Wang's, it's the Foreign Minister Wang's turn to go to the United States to wrap up to have a conclusion of the previous interactions. So now, on the one side, he is meant to discuss with U.S. counterparts to have a conclusion for the previous interactions, and furthermore, we can expect he will discuss with U.S. counterparts about a potential meeting between the top leaders of our two countries in the next month. So the meeting will be in California. So in return, you can see the significance of the governor.
But we do not know. But we do not know for sure any such plan, right? Right. At this moment, it's all kind of speculation.
No, we don't know. But we can expect that.
Okay. Neysun, what is your interpretation of Mr. Wang's visit from 26th to 28th of October, right now, as we speak?
I mean, I think the driving factor has been preparation for the meeting between President Xi Jinping and Joe Biden at the APEC meeting in San Francisco. I agree that all the signals are that the meeting is on and that everyone wants to prepare for it as best they can, and I'm sure that's the primary reason. But it so happens that he is visiting, Foreign Minister now also Foreign Minister Wang Yi is visiting at a time of extreme geopolitical tension because of the crisis of the Middle East, and I'm sure that that is going to be discussed at length. And so probably the visit was scheduled mostly in advance because of the preparations that need to be taken before the meeting in San Francisco. Okay. But now that he's there, I'm sure they're going to take advantage of it to talk about the situation in the Middle East and whether there are ways in which the U.S. and China can work productively together. Yeah. As a world community, we hope that there will be some resolution.
Well, since we're CGTN, I want to make sure that we don't want people to speculate that, you know, because this is being discussed on CGTN, that this is a sign that something is going to happen. We don't have any insider knowledge, so don't take us on the record saying, you know, something is going to happen. But I want to ask this question, since Neysun mentioned it. Could U.S. and China working together or back to work together to a certain degree help resolve some of the hotspot issues in the world that we're seeing? Neysun?
I would hope so. I think I have always thought that one of the things that could bring the U.S. and China closer together would be recognition that both countries have more in common in hoping for stability in the world than they have difference. And so one would hope that with all of these different crises popping up around the world, it can be an occasion for these two countries that, again, mostly agree on the need for global stability to work together. And this will be another test of it. We have one test in terms of the situation in Russia and Ukraine, and now we have another test in the Middle East. And I'm sure that both Wang Yi and Secretary Blinken and Jake Sullivan will have a lot to talk about in the next couple of days.
Mr. Lyu, I want to get your view if you can, but keep that short because I have about 1 minute left. And I also want to ask you about the new House Speaker in the United States that's just been approved and the implication of his being sworn into office, taking office on U.S.-China relations.
Okay, this story, all of a sudden, we heard the story, and Mr. Johnson got to be famous just in a while. Actually, he definitely is a conservative, and even you can say he's a radical conservative. But regarding China, we haven't seen his systematic comments on China. We have heard some discreet and sporadic comments relating to China. So it's not a moment for us to make a judgment on his position towards China now.
What about China and the United States working together and helping to facilitate in whatever capacity they can to bring some stability to the geopolitical conflicts we're seeing? Mr. Lyu.
You mean? Sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Lyu, do you hear me?
Yeah, you mean
China and the United States having common interests in bringing stability to hotspot issues?
Oh yes, yes, yes. Actually, we see the close interactions in the recent months, and so I have in the history of the U.S.-China relation, we have never seen such frequent interactions between our two countries. So it means both sides, at least, have a common recognition that the relation is important. Okay. It's vital to the world economy and world stability.
We have to leave it there. Many thanks to Lyu Xiang and Neysun Mahboubi joining us from Hong Kong and Pennsylvania. With that, we are coming to the end of this edition of The Point with me, Lyu Xiang. As always, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter using the handle Lyu Xiang in Beijing. Thanks for watching. On behalf of the whole team, you've got The Point.